15 Scariest Horror Movies That Are Too Disturbing to Rewatch. Everybody loves a good scare, as the undying popularity of horror movies continues to prove. From unexpected jump scares and eerie atmosphere, to terrifying creatures and supernatural occurrences, a lot of fun can be had with the genre. However, these films aren't always meant to be a pleasant experience, and there are some horror movies that are actually scary, and truly disturbing and twisted, that even the most seasoned enthusiasts would struggle to sit through. Whether it's due to graphic violence, excessive gore, controversial subject matter or unsettling imagery, these movies are hard to unsee. The scariest horror movies will definitely have viewers questioning the filmmaker's intentions, and leave them with no desire to revisit them in the near future. Feel-good family fun, this certainly is not. 1. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Many argue that modern horror films are always scarier, but that's not the case when it comes to 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The film sees Leatherface and his cannibal family hunt down a group of unsuspecting hitchhikers for the first time, with mean and bloody results. Thanks to its balance of sheer dread and extreme gore, it was banned in several countries when first released, and is still considered one of the scariest movies of all time to this day. Disgusting and remarkably impressive for its time, it is certainly not for the faint of heart. 2. Audition, 1999. 1999's Audition is an extreme horror thriller movie that doesn't start out as a completely wild film. In fact, viewers can be forgiven for thinking they're watching a light-hearted romantic drama for the first few minutes, instead of one of the best horror movies ever, as it follows Aoyama, Ryo Ishibashi, a widowed man who decides to venture back into the world of dating. With the help of his film producer friend, they come up with a plan to use auditions for a fictional film project as a means to meet potential partners. Soon, he meets the enigmatic Asami, Eiji Shina, who isn't telling him the whole truth about her past. The haunting shift in Asami's demeanor gives way to some of the scariest scenes to ever make it to the big screen, with several kinds of torture showcased in increasingly gross ways. The film manages to maintain this momentum until its climactic finale, which is a perfect mind-blowing way to end the entire ordeal. 3. Ichi the Killer, 2001. Ichi the Killer is an overlooked Japanese action horror film, directed by Takashi Miike. It's centered on members of the Yakuza, who attempt to search for their boss, Anjo, who has disappeared with a large sum of money. This stressful effort soon causes them to encounter the brutal enforcer Kakihara, Tadanobu Asano, who's also after Anjo. Soon, Ichi, now a Mori, an enigmatic and disturbed young man with incredible martial arts skills, enters the picture. Now a cult classic among fans of extreme horror, Ichi the Killer is known for its graphic portrayals of violence and torture. It depicts a level of gore not typically seen on the big screen, which is why first-time viewers will likely find that it's also the only time they'll feel like watching it. 4. Noroi, The Curse, 2005. Directed and co-written by Koji Shiraishi, Noroi, The Curse is an underrated Japanese horror film that revolves around the experiences of a paranormal researcher, Masafumi Kobayashi, Gene Muraki. While investigating his most mysterious case yet for a documentary, Masafumi begins to walk into increasingly dangerous encounters with both human and supernatural beings. Shot in a pseudo-documentary style, Noroi is reminiscent of horror movies like The Blair Witch Project, but is far more disturbing. It doesn't have to show the, incredibly, terrifying supernatural creatures responsible for the bizarre events. Its protagonist witnesses to be scary, using a dark atmosphere, creepy characters, and occasional shocking moments to become a film viewers wouldn't want to see more than once. 5. Antichrist, 2009. Director Lars von Trier's Antichrist is a psychological horror film that's centered on a couple, credited as he, Willem Dafoe, and she, Charlotte Gainsbourg. They travel to a remote cabin in the woods, after the devastating death of their child, but soon find themselves spiraling into a series of psychological and physical obstacles that make them question everything they know. A highly divisive horror film, the movie has graphic and visceral depictions of violence and sex, all set against the backdrop of grief and trauma. It's considered a bold masterpiece by the director's fans, and misogynistic by critics who believe it crosses the line. Either way, newcomers to Von Trier's work should tread carefully. 6. The Human Centipede 2, Full Sequence, 2011. A movie franchise that has famously been banned, criticized, and called satanic on more than one occasion, the Human Centipede films undoubtedly left their mark, not always for the right reasons. The most disturbing among them, The Human Centipede 2, Full Sequence, was directed by Tom Six, as the sequel to the 2009 film The Human Centipede, First Sequence. The film follows Martin Lomax, Lawrence R. Harvey, an Englishman living with a mental disability, who grows an unhealthy obsession with the first Human Centipede movie. He soon replicates the events of the first film, this time with 12 victims surgically attached, mouth to rectum, to create one giant organism with a single digestive system. If that sounds bad enough, then you probably shouldn't even try to watch the film, which is as disgusting and disturbing as you might imagine. It's one of the scariest movies ever made, and has become iconic among fans, because of how unflinching it is when it comes to depicting repulsive scenes, especially in that one scene. 7. Sinister, 2012. Considered by many to be the scariest modern horror film of all time, Sinister is, well, pretty darn sinister. Ethan Hawke plays a non-fiction crime writer, who moves his family into a house where gruesome murders took place, as his research reveals horrifying discoveries. The film has a simple plot, but is executed in a way that will be lodged into your subconscious for a long time. The Super 8 tapes Hawke's character stumbles upon featuring various murders are already uneasy to watch, but it's the demonic face that keeps popping up in each of them that is the stuff of nightmares. 8. Goodnight Mommy, 2014. Goodnight Mommy is a slow-burn psychological horror film that is drenched in dread from start to finish. It follows twin brothers Elias Schwartz, and Lucas Schwartz, who begin to suspect the identity of their mother, Suzanne Wiest, when she comes home covered in bandages after a facial reconstructive surgery. Always cited among the scary horror movies, the film gets under your skin with its creepy atmosphere and delicate pace, but will have viewers squirming during its icky and excessive torture scenes, where the torture is being carried out by children. It goes to extremely dark and shocking places. 9. The Witch, 2015. Featuring Anya Taylor-Joy in her breakout role, The Witch is a grim and grisly New England folktale. Set during the 17th century, it follows a remote Puritan family whose newborn son disappears. The family turns on each other among accusations of black magic and witchcraft. The film is shrouded in darkness both thematically and aesthetically, featuring disturbing imagery made all the more unsettling by its ties to religion. With its gritty and bleak setting, animal possessions, child sacrifice, and ominous energy, it's the opposite of feel-good viewing and a malevolent force of a film. 10. Mother, 2017. One of the most polarizing movies of all time, director Darren Aronofsky's Mother stars Jennifer Lawrence as the titular protagonist, who lives with him, Javier Bardem, in a Victorian mansion in the countryside. When unexpected guests arrive one after the other, chaos ensues as Mother is caught in a confusing and terrifying turn of events. Unsettling from start to finish, the film relies heavily on allegory, extreme sound design, and shaky camera work to convey its metaphorical story. It escalates in an unexpected and genuinely frightening way, and reaches an explosive conclusion that will leave viewers perturbed and never wanting to revisit this movie again. 11. Hereditary, 2018. Director Ari Aster has cemented himself as a profound and fresh new voice in horror over the last few years, as exhibited with his debut Hereditary. The film follows a grief-stricken family after the death of their matriarch, as they discover sinister ancestral secrets through supernatural disturbances. The scariest movie ever from A24's collection, Aster's film is bleak and utterly hopeless, littered with unnatural and explicit imagery among its unnerving ambience. Toni Collette's performance is incredibly chilling, and one particular scene involving a nut allergy takes an abhorrent turn that viewers will not soon forget. Dark, dark stuff. 12. Host, 2020. Everyone has become far too familiar with Zoom, through work meetings and social catch-ups during the pandemic. In 2020, director Rob Savage capitalized on the popularity of the app to make Host, a heart-pounding low-budget film, that proves you don't need a lot of money to make something terrifying. Filmed entirely through webcams, a group of friends perform an online seance and accidentally invite a demonic presence into their homes. Savage uses simple tricks to conjure up genuinely nasty scares, in a gripping runtime of just under an hour. Zoom meetings will never be the same again. 13. The Innocents, 2021. If you've seen any of their films, you'd know the Nordic always nail atmospheric horror, and use it to create really scary movies. Pair that with creepy kids carrying out sadistic acts, and you've got yourself some pretty uncomfortable viewing. The Innocents takes these elements to create an understated yet relentlessly haunting film. During a bright Nordic summer, a group of kids experiments with their newfound powers as things take a dark turn. The violence and cruelty on display, including towards animals, are made all the more difficult to stomach, because it is being carried out by children. Viewer discretion is advised. 14. Speak No Evil, 2022. Speak No Evil has cemented itself as one of the most shocking and heinous movies of 2022, which isn't an exaggeration by any means. In the film, a Danish family is invited to the home of a Dutch family they befriended on holiday, whose hospitality eventually turns into something increasingly alarming. It's the perfect example of a slow burn, where things don't seem quite right throughout, but then end up going to a truly unbelievable and grotesque place with its brutal climax. The film speaks on the danger of compliance and is impressively harrowing, and devoid of any warmth. 15. Infinity Pool, 2023. Director Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool follows a married couple, James, Alexander Skarsgård, and M. Foster, Cleopatra Coleman, who go on vacation to Litalka, an island with a luxurious resort. They're soon involved in a tragic accident, which forces them to face the island's bizarre law: be executed, or buy a clone and watch yourself die. Soon, James is pulled deeper into the island community's hedonistic ways, guided by the mysterious Gabby Bauer, Mia Goth, who teaches him everything he needs to know about being a murder tourist, with jarring scenes of gore, sex, torture, and, of course, body horror. Infinity Pool has quickly become a hotly debated and discussed movie among fans and critics. Only time will tell if its divisiveness will soon give way to a new cult classic. One thing's for sure, it has already made a lasting impression as a truly scary horror movie that viewers will probably only watch once.